On Wednesday, I go to school again. At the beginning of the lesson, one student says, "I started to read more. I feel that it is good for me. I can see how my grammar is better. But I have a problem. When I read and I don't know a word, I look at the word in a dictionary. Then I continue reading. Sometimes when I see the same word again 10 minutes later, I don't remember the word, and I have to look at it again. Can you help me to remember the words better?" Our teacher says that it is an interesting question, and she gives this explanation. It is normal that you don't remember the new word immediately. Usually, you will have to look at the word 5 times before you remember it. There will also be words that you will have to see 10 or 15 times. These words are usually verbs. When we learn a new word, the word goes through phases. Only when you achieve the last phase do you remember the word very well. There are 5 of these phases. We can look at them now. The first phase is the moment when you see the word for the first time and you don't know the word. You look at the word in the dictionary. The second phase is the moment when you see the word for the second time. You know that you saw this word before, but you still don't remember its meaning. You look at the word in the dictionary again. The third phase is the moment when you see the word again, and you feel what it could mean, but you are not sure. For example, you know that the word is some kind of object, animal, or verb. The fourth phase is the moment when you already know what the word means when you see it, but you are not able to remember the word when you want to say it. When this phase happens, the word is in your passive vocabulary. The fifth phase is the moment when you are able to use the word when you speak. Now you can see there are 5 phases altogether. Do you understand now why it is not possible to remember a new word when you see it for the first time? It is usually not possible to jump across all the phases with the first meeting of the word. You have to see or hear every word many times and let the word go through all the phases. You can be happy not only when you learn a new word perfectly, but also when you get from one phase to the next. When it happens, you are closer to the final goal, which is to use the word without problems in everyday communication. It is interesting to me. I didn't know about these phases, but it is all logical. I also have this experience. When I look at a new word in the dictionary, but 2 minutes later I don't know what the word means, I have to look at the word again. I feel stupid when I don't remember the word. Now I know that it is okay not to remember the word forever when I see it for the first time. I need more meetings with the word before I can use it well. After school, I go to my football training. Our coach tells us that there is a match on Saturday. The school team will play against another school team from Cambridge. Our coach tells me to come and play for the school team. I am very happy, and I am looking forward to the Saturday match. When you want to remember a new word, you need to see or hear the word about 10 times. How to improve. Listening. The next day, I go to school again. One of the students has an important question. He wants to know how to improve his listening skills. He asks, "What is the best method?" Our teacher says, "Thank you for your question. Good listening skills are very important for communication is essential. If you don't understand what people are saying, it will be difficult for you to speak with them. There are a lot of materials on the internet for students of English. Some students may have a problem choosing the right listening materials for them. Now, I want to tell you what materials you can use for listening. There are two types of materials you can use for listening: audio recordings and films, videos. These are two different types of materials. Listening to audio. When you listen to some audio, it is good to know 95% of the words or more. If the audio has a lot of new words, read the text first, if possible, and look up all the new words in the dictionary. When you practice listening, your goal is to get information from spoken language. You don't try to learn new words while listening. Of course, sometimes you may learn new words, but it is not the main goal. When you listen, concentrate on getting information from spoken English. It is important to use materials at your level of English. For example, you can use books in simplified English that come with audio recordings. I highly recommend these books. They are fantastic because you can choose one that matches your English level. When you have such a book, read the book first and then listen to the recording at home or while traveling. You can explore some great books at websites like www.robinsoncrusoes.com, www.thelittleprincenals.com, www.newells.com. If you enjoy listening to the news, www.newells.com offers materials in 3 levels of English: watching films and videos. The second type of materials for listening practice are films and videos. You can find excellent resources on www.youtube.com. These are very effective, and you can start using them when you know 2,000 English words or more. This is what you should do with a film. Watch it for the first time with subtitles so you can understand the story. Watch it again without subtitles. If you like the film, you can watch it more than once. Each time you watch it, you will understand more. It is also good to watch videos about interesting subjects. For example, if you like nature, you can watch documentaries about it. Reality shows are another great option. They are usually easier to understand than films or documentaries because the structure of the show is often repetitive. Daily listening practice. It is essential to have at least 30 minutes of listening every day. When you listen to English materials, focus on what you already understand. Even if it is only 10% at the beginning, that's okay. In the beginning, even understanding 10% is better than 0%. Continue to listen, and soon it can be 20% or 30%. Always focus on what you already know and be happy for every new sentence you understand. Does this information help you? Asks the teacher. Yes, says the student. Thank you. The listening topic is very interesting for me. Now I know what to do when I want to get better at listening. When you want to improve your listening skills, listen for 30 minutes every day, advises the teacher. What you need. Before you start on Friday, we had an interesting conversation in our class. Our teacher asked us a question. Do you remember your first impulse to learn English? Do you remember the moment when you started to learn English? I said that I remembered the moment when I started to become interested in English. My teacher said, "Can you tell us about this moment?" I replied, "Yes." First, I have to say that English wasn't always my favorite subject. I started learning English in high school. In the beginning, it was very difficult for me. I didn't understand the structure of the language. It was illogical to me. I tried to memorize words. I tried to learn grammar, but it was very hard for me. When I finished high school, I was still only a beginner. I couldn't speak English, and I believed that I couldn't learn the language. I thought English wasn't for me. Then something happened. I always liked music, and when I was 20, I started to listen to the Beatles. I wanted to understand their songs, so I began translating the lyrics. Slowly, I understood more and more. Then I met two ladies from England on a train. We had a simple conversation, but it helped me a lot. I started to believe that I could learn English. From that moment, I worked on my English almost every day, and I got better and better. Eventually, I started going to this school. My teacher thanked me for sharing my story and added, "There is something very interesting about your story. First, you didn't have motivation to learn English. Then, you found a motivation. You wanted to understand songs. You can see that motivation is very important. When you have it, you can learn English. When you don't have it, it is very hard to succeed." Class discussion on motivation. Then our teacher asked everyone in the class about their motivation to learn English. The stories were very interesting. One girl's motivation was to be able to read historical books in their original English. One student wanted to be a professional tennis coach in England, so he aimed to speak perfect English before starting his career. Another woman wanted to work for a big international company and needed English for her job. I noticed that everyone had some motivation, whether to use English in real life or to gain knowledge from books. At the end of the lesson, our teacher asked, "Do you like English?" I said, "I didn't like English in high school, but now I like it a lot. I can see how useful it is to know this language." Our teacher replied, "This is another important factor when learning a new language. It's good when you like something connected to English. It could be people, music, culture, or history. If you like English, it's easier to learn. If you want to communicate well in English, it's good to know at least 3,000 words. If you don't like English, it's harder to find time to practice, and reaching the level of 3,000 words becomes difficult." I agreed with my teacher. Now I like the Beatles, my teacher, and my boss, who is also English. I even enjoy English humor. Because of this, it's much easier for me to find time to practice English every day. Football match and victory. On Saturday, I played football for my school team. We have some very good players on our team, and we won 3-2. We were all very happy. After the match, we went to the pub to celebrate our victory. How to learn 3,000 words. In the next lesson, one student asked our teacher a question. "You say it's good to know 3,000 words. Where can I find these 3,000 words?" Our teacher answered, "You can find a list of the 3,000 most frequent words in English on the internet. However, it's difficult to learn new words from such a list because these words are not connected to any story. You don't learn how other words are related to these words in sentences. This system works well for some basic words, such as those that describe common things and people around us. For example, mother, father, apple, blue, orange, dog, cat, book, car, house, city, boy, girl, water, cinema, or paper. These are words you can easily imagine. However, when you want to learn abstract words like decide or opinion, this system doesn't work as effectively. This is a problem many students face when they start there. Studying with lists of words works well at the beginning, and students often believe they can learn English this way. However, they don't realize that when they reach the level of 1,000 words, they need to start using a different system. If you want to learn higher-level words, you must learn them from whole sentences. When you understand the meaning of a word in the context of a sentence, you can learn it much better. Learning words from lists can work, but there's usually a limit to how far you can go with this method. About 1,000 words. Moreover, this way of learning is very slow. There are much better methods, which you may already know, such as reading. For beginners, the best book to read is Robinson Crusoe in Simple English. You can find this book at www.robinsoncrusoeinls.com. It's an excellent resource for learning new words at the beginner level. There's also an interesting rule to keep in mind. Every word that is important to you will come back into your life again and again. This is very similar to how we learn our native language. When we are children, we don't study lists of words. We simply use the language. Important words naturally reappear in our lives, and we learn them through repetition. For example, the verb Google is a new word in many languages. We didn't learn this word from a list. We learned it by using the language. When you first heard the word Google, you probably didn't know what it meant. Then you heard it again and again because it was important, and eventually you understood its meaning. So, forget about lists of words. Learn new words by reading stories and other interesting texts. When you use English frequently, you will soon learn 3,000 words. Does it make sense? Asks the teacher. Yes, says the student. Thank you. Confidence in practice. After school, I go to work. By now, I know my job very well, and many tasks have become automatic. I feel happy that I understand my customers. It's not very difficult because the conversations are usually similar. Customers want coffee or sandwiches, so the words I hear are often the same. As my confidence grows, I start having longer conversations with customers. Everything seems to be going well until something unexpected happens. It's a bit of a shock for me. Learning words in context. When you learn a new word, learn it as part of a whole sentence. How to improve your accent. On Tuesday, something interesting happens at work. 2 customers come into the cafe, a husband and a wife. The man starts speaking to me, but I can't understand him. I know he's speaking English, but his accent is unfamiliar. I think he wants something we don't have, so I call my boss. She speaks with the man and sells him 2 coffees and 2 sandwiches. I'm surprised. After they leave, I apologize to my boss, saying, "I'm sorry I didn't understand the man." She replies, "It's okay." This can happen when people speak with an accent that's new to us. She explains that the couple was from Scotland. The next day at school, I tell my teacher the story. I felt really stupid when I didn't understand the customer, I admit. I wasn't sure if my English was good enough for my job. My boss was okay with it, but I still need help. What can I do in situations like this? My teacher says, I understand. You're familiar with English as it's spoken in London, but the Scottish accent is new to you. Your ears aren't trained for it yet. You need to listen to more Scottish English to train your ears to this accent. What happened to you can happen to anyone. Even if you already speak English well, traveling to a region with a different accent can be challenging. It's normal not to understand right away. Usually it takes about 2 weeks to get used to a new accent. Don't think there's something wrong with you when this happens. With practice, you can train your ears to understand the accent. I ask, so what can I do to understand the Scottish accent? I don't live in Scotland. She suggests, you can watch films with Scottish English or sitcoms from Scotland. With time, you'll get used to it. I thank her for the advice. Simplifying language. After school, I return to work. Around 4 o'clock, 2 interesting customers come into the cafe. This time they aren't from Scotland, they are foreigners. They want to buy coffee. It's clear that their English is very basic. My boss serves them, and when she realizes they don't speak English well, she does something fascinating. She changes her English. She starts using very simple sentences. With only 3 or 4 words, I can see that the ladies understand her. They buy 2 coffees, 2 sandwiches, and 2 cakes. They are happy, and my boss is happy too. When the ladies leave, I tell my boss that it was very nice how she changed her English so that the 2 ladies could understand her. My boss says that sometimes she has to speak in very simple English. It doesn't matter if the customers speak English well or not, she says. They are our customers, and we have to do everything possible for them. If they see that they can speak English here, they might come to our cafe every day. I think that my boss is a good businesswoman. She does everything possible to make our customers happy. It's true. We have a lot of customers. Our cafe is busy every day. Understanding accents. When you want to understand people with a special accent, listen to audio with their accent for some time. What you can do at your level. The next day at school, I tell my teacher about my experience with my boss and the 2 ladies who didn't speak English very well. Our teacher says, "Great. Your boss must be a very clever young lady. It's true that you can communicate with everybody. People who speak English very well can have a conversation with those who are just at the beginning of their journey." Today, we can talk about different levels of English and what you can do at these levels. Let's start with the lowest level, which is 1,000 words. At this level, students can speak about basic things from everyday life. The speaking is very limited, but it is already possible to communicate slowly for a short time with people who want to speak with you. Your sentences are short, usually 4 words. If the others also speak in short sentences, you can have a basic conversation. When students move to a higher level, which is 2,000 words, the conversations become easier and the sentences are longer. This is the level at which you are right now. You can speak about many things from your life. You can talk about your family, hobbies, job, and traveling. Sometimes you might have a problem when you want to go deeper into a conversation on some topics, but this level is usually good enough for everyday use of English. If you want to be able to have a deeper conversation on many topics, it's good to know 3,000 words. This is a great goal for students of English. Of course, you can learn more than 3,000 words. With more words, it becomes easier for you to communicate in English, but 3,000 words is the level that is usually enough to talk about almost everything. I think that the two ladies at your cafe knew about 1,000 words. Your boss went to their level and had a basic conversation with them. Building confidence. Through practice. After school, I go to work. The two ladies come to our cafe again, and this time they bring two of their friends. It is my turn to serve them. I speak to them in simple, short sentences, and they understand me. This is great. They tell me that they are tourists from Japan and that they like our cafe because people understand them here. What to do when you are shy. On Thursday, I go to school again. One student has a very interesting question. She says, "I am very shy when I have to speak English. Can you help me? I don't want to be so shy." Our teacher responds, "It's true that when we use foreign languages, it's natural to feel shy. We are doing something we don't know perfectly, and the possibility of making a mistake is very high. I was also very shy when I was learning foreign languages. I remember well how afraid I was to make a mistake. When I made a mistake, I felt stupid, and sometimes my face turned red. Now, it's different. I use languages for communication, and I care only about that. You know that I'm learning Spanish these days. Sometimes I make mistakes, but it doesn't stop me from using Spanish. It's true that sometimes I still feel shy when I have to speak Spanish. Occasionally my face turns red, but I don't care much about it. It's a natural human feeling, and it always passes quickly. I continue using Spanish because I know that only by using it can I improve. I also try to see things as they are. I'm a student, and I'm on the journey to mastering Spanish. It's not possible to jump several levels in one day. A beginner can't be a perfect speaker in 1 hour. I also see what I mean to people around me when I already speak some Spanish. I have value to people who speak Spanish. You can see the same when you already speak some English. You can have a conversation with other people in English. That's great. Look at what you already know. You know 2,000 words. You have already gone from 0 to 2,000 words. Be happy about it. Some students have the feeling that knowing English means being able to speak like a native speaker, to have perfect pronunciation, perfect grammar, and speak flawlessly without any mistakes. They think that if they are not doing that, they don't know English. They are shy because they are not perfect. These students are very hard on themselves, and it's not necessary. You are great because you already speak some English. Continue working on your English, and your shyness can step by step go away. I like what our teacher tells us. I am also sometimes shy. I know that I have to practice speaking a lot, but in some situations, I don't want to look stupid, so I don't speak as much as I can. I decide to be braver in these situations and use them to practice more. Then one student says, "Sometimes I want to say something, but I don't know the word I want to say. Then I stop, and I don't know what to do in that situation. I feel very stupid. The next time when I can speak English, I don't want to speak because I don't want to be in this stupid situation again. Can you help me with this?" Our teacher says, "When you start to speak English, you have to prepare for one thing. There will be situations where you don't know a word you want to say. In such situations, you have to learn how to describe the word. This ability is very important when you learn a new language. You need to train yourself to express ideas with the vocabulary you already have. For example, if you don't know how to say the word key, you can describe it as a small thing for opening a door. You also describe words in your native language, but usually you don't realize it. If you don't know the word for something, you simply describe it to the other person so they understand what it is. You can do the same in English, but you really need to train this ability. Thinking aloud is a very good technique to use when you want to get better at describing things. Use thinking aloud every day, and your ability to describe things will improve. You can learn English only when you use English. It's okay to be shy, but it can't stop you from using English. Who is talented? The next day is Friday, and I go to school again. I am happy to attend this class, not only because we have a great teacher, but also because I like this class. There are students from many different countries. In our class, some students are from Europe, some from South America. There is also one student from Japan and one from South Korea. This is good for me because the students don't speak my native language. When I speak to them, I have to use only English, which is excellent for my practice. Today, we have a new student in our class. Her name is Sophia, and she is from Argentina. At the beginning of the lesson, Sophia says that she thinks she doesn't have a talent for studying languages, but she wants to work hard to improve. My teacher asks her, "Why do you think you don't have a talent?" Sophia answers, "I think I don't have a talent because my sister learns English very fast, but for me it is difficult." Then our teacher asks everyone in the class, "Do you think you have a talent for learning languages?" Please raise your hand if you believe you have a talent. I look around the class, and nobody raises their hand. My teacher smiles and says, "Now I want to tell you something. Many people think that you need to have a special talent to learn a new language. I agree, you need some talent to learn a language. But I also believe that you already have a talent for learning languages. Why do I say that? Because you already learned one language, your native language. You were successful in learning your native language, and you speak it fluently. All people who have learned their native language have a talent for learning languages. So why do many students believe they are not talented? The reason is this. There are people who are super talented. Yes, it's true. These super talented people remember new words very fast and retain them for a long time. Maybe you know someone like this. Perhaps someone at your work or in your family. There aren't many of these people, but they do exist. I believe Sophia's sister might be one of these super talented people. Learning a new language is fun for these people, and they can do it easily. Sophia says that it is true, Her sister is really better than everybody else. Our teacher continues, "It is true that these super talented people exist. It is a fact, and we can't do anything about it. But it is not a problem. The problem is that we compare ourselves to these people, and if we don't learn as fast as they do, we think we are not talented. I want to ask you for one thing. Please do not compare yourself to these super talented people. Yes, they are lucky, and they have an advantage, but you can be lucky too. You are super talented at other things. Maybe you are more talented than others when you learn to sing, swim, play tennis, count numbers, cook, or repair cars. People are not all the same. That is the beauty of this world. Now, you can believe that you are also talented. Maybe not super talented, but talented. When you believe that you are talented, learning English will be easier for you. These words from our teacher are very helpful to us. I know that I am talented at playing football and tennis. Now, I know that I am also talented at learning English. It is great. And what is also great is that there is a school party in the evening. I really look forward to this party. I know that some girls from our class are going, and I hope that our new student, Sophia, is also going to the party. I have known Sophia for only one day, but I like her very much. If you can speak your native language, you have a talent for learning English how to speak fluently. On Monday, I go to school again. Our teacher asks us about Friday's school party. One student says that the party was great. We had a lot of drinks and a lot of fun. The girls from our class enjoyed the party as well. I liked the party a lot too because Sophia was there. I could talk to her and we danced together. It was all very nice. There were also 2 boys from my football team at the party. These boys are from Brazil, and their English is basic. They could speak only in short sentences, but they were very funny at the party. They made a lot of jokes about life in England, other players from our team, and the girls from their class. Their sentences were very short, with only 3 or 4 words, but they were able to speak fluently. When we talk about the party, I tell my teacher, it was really interesting to see that somebody who doesn't know many words can already speak fluently. I know some students who are at a much higher level, but they can't speak fluently. My teacher says, the 2 boys from your football team showed you the right way. The boys used what they knew. They cared only about what was really important, communication. Then one girl asks, so, what can we do if we want to speak English fluently? Should we go to parties and make jokes? My teacher smiles and says, first, let me explain what fluent speaking is. Many students think that fluent speaking is fast speaking with a lot of words and perfect grammar. But there is a better, more correct definition of fluent speaking. Fluent speaking is speaking without long pauses. Some people can do it at 1,000 words, some people can do it at 2,000 words. But there are also people who know 3,000 words and still aren't able to speak fluently. If you want to speak fluently, you have to practice speaking. There is no other way to improve your fluency. Speaking is a physical activity. It is like playing a musical instrument. If you want to play the violin, you need to train the connection between your brain and the muscles in your fingers. When you want to speak well, you need to train the connection between your brain and the muscles in your mouth. Some students have an interesting experience Maybe you have had this experience too. You meet a foreigner who wants to speak with you in English. You want to say the ideas that are in your head, but you aren't able to do it. You can't find the right words. Then, when the conversation is over and you play it back in your head, you realize that you actually knew the right words, but the conversation is already finished. Why does this happen? Because you have little training. Your speaking isn't automatic, and it isn't automatic because you don't practice it often enough. When you want to speak fluently, I recommend speaking for at least 30 minutes a day. You can speak to a real person. If you don't have a real person for a conversation, you can do thinking aloud. It is necessary to really think aloud, not just think in your head. You need to practice the connection between your brain and your mouth. Your muscles. You can do this by thinking aloud. Does it make sense? Yes, says the girl. If you want to speak fluently, speak for 30 minutes every day.